Think about this. A school where every student learns is a school where every student excels. That's exactly what's going on at a middle school right here in St. Louis. Welcome to the program. I'm Steve Potter, your host for this edition of The Issues. Today we're going to take you to KIPP Inspire Academy. It's part of a national network of 109 schools in 21 states and the District of Columbia. KIPP schools are free college preparatory public schools. They're dedicated to providing an outstanding education for children, preparing them for success in college and in life.
The moment you walk inside KIPP Inspire Academy, you see this banner. All of us will learn.
It means that there isn't anything that you can do at this school but learn. There's no kidding around, there's no playing, there's no doing anything else but learn. And all of us will learn. Will is the word because it's not an option.
Students go to school from 7:30 a.m. until 5:30 p.m. Monday through Thursday until 3 on Friday. There's 2 hours of homework each night, school twice a month on Saturday, and for 3 weeks during the summer. The result? An intense learning experience where every child learns and excels.
We have very high expectations for our kids.
No matter what level they're on when they arrive, every student's grades increase significantly.
We provide them with the resources and the tools to make that high bar that we set. We don't just say, here's the bar, now you find it and you get to it. We help them reach that.
Here at KIPP, there's a strong culture of discipline when it comes to academics and behavior.
I've changed in many ways, attitude, academically, and more.
At his previous schools, Amir didn't want to learn. So the difference, I would have to say, would be the teachers and the support system here at KIPP.
My grades have came up from a F&D student to A, B, and C.
Why?
Because I feel that at KIPP, I'm in a more better environment to succeed and do well.
3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18.
KIPP stands for Knowledge is Power program. The kids say the teachers make learning interesting and fun.
I'm excelling because I have teachers that push us to the points where we feel that we can't go. So we may say that we can only go to the median point, but they push us above and beyond. Also because I have family members that push me the same way my teachers push me.
7 times 1, and then what are we going to do with that answer?
Plus 3.
Plus 3. So what is our new fraction that we come up with?
10 sevenths.
10 sevenths.
You're not going to come to school and be lazy. You're not going to come here and be an underachiever. You're not going to be allowed to sit here and just do what you think is possible to get by. You're going to be pushed to be greater. You're going to be pushed towards excellence.
What changes have you seen in the students?
I've seen a ton of changes. The kinds of changes they're immense. I mean, they're almost innumerable. Kids are loving to come to class and learn.
In addition to the support from teachers, staff, and parents, there's another reason kids do well here. There is zero tolerance for any type of misbehavior.
This school, people don't mess with me because they're too busy learning. My grades have improved a lot. I'm getting more A's than I am B's right now than I did last year.
To come into an atmosphere where everyone is learning, nobody's being bullied, there's no fights, so there's nothing taken away from my ability to learn is something that's motivating to her.
The KIPPsters are focused on the future. Being successful will mean hard work and a college degree, but it's all within their reach.
Every child that wants to be at our school, that wants to succeed, will. Not just because, we have like some magic, bullet answer to public education, but we are literally, every person who works in this building is literally willing to make sure that happens for every child.
You have to let them know that they can do it. And once they believe in themselves, they can do whatever. And that's what we do here at KIPP. Our kids know that they can be awesome. They know there's no option to just be, mediocre. we shoot for the stars and they will achieve it.
Joining us now is Dr. Thomas Walker, the Executive Director of KIPP St. Louis. Dr. Walker is responsible for the growth of the KIPP St. Louis region, which will eventually grow to 5 schools. Dr. Walker, welcome to the Issues.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Is KIPP all about preparing young people for college? Is that the bottom line?
That is the bottom line. It is helping our kids, and we consider these our kids, not only climbing the mountain to college, but through college. That seems to be the pivotal player in changing the dynamics of a family, a college degree.
There was a banner that we saw in the beginning of that video piece that said, all of us will learn. What does that mean to you?
That means to me that every child, every one of our students that comes through our door, we don't accept just mediocre results. That the parent, the child, and we, most importantly as teachers and staff members, have committed to ensure we're going to do whatever it takes. More time, additional work, the extra homework that we have at night, being accessible to our families in the evening to make sure that that child learns, and creating a climate and a culture where that's rewarded and it's cool.
Well, do you accept any child? You say that you don't accept the program not working. What about the kid that really has the problem or whatever? How can you ensure that it's going to work for everybody?
I think a lot of that is driven just by our attention to detail, Steve. We're heavy on the assessment end of just trying to find out where a child is at. But yes, we accept all children who are enrolling in our school. It is an open access school.
Now you were involved, you're not from St. Louis originally. I know before here you were involved in the KIPP school in Kansas City, which would have been the first KIPP school in Missouri, right?
That's correct.
So how did it come to St. Louis?
Unique story. I worked on more of the sponsor side. Our sponsor here is Washington University. At the time I worked at Metropolitan Community College in Kansas City, and we sponsored the first KIPP Academy, which was called KIPP Endeavor Academy. And I got a reputation for being an overly enthusiastic sponsor in terms of trying to make it a successful endeavor. And somehow that information filtered to St. Louis, where there was a board, and we are governed by a local board, that was looking for an executive director. And one conversation led to another. I had been to St. Louis many times, and it was one of my favorite cities. And it just seemed like a natural fit for me, and so I landed here.
Now, KIPP is a charter school. Maybe you want to say a little something about what the relationship is between charter schools and public schools and how they work together if they do, or how they're connected at all if they are?
Well, we're much more similar than I think different. We're both public schools. We both have to adhere to the Missouri Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, and we both serve students specifically from the city of St. Louis.
Mm-hmm. Could you give us a little bit background on KIPP schools? So I know there were a couple of founders. Where did they start? How long have they been around? How did they come about?
Our founders, who are still very active with KIPP, were Dave Levin and Mike Feinberg, who started in 1994 their own middle school in Houston, had begged the superintendent for a building, were really frustrated by what they saw as children being cheated out of a good education, and became really inspired by a teacher they observed named Harriet Ball. And they observed her teaching math, and as I recall Dave Levin saying one day, he watched her teach in 45 minutes what he'd been struggling to teach for 3 months with a group of urban kids. Mm-hmm. They became inspired by it and became very successful early on. Subsequently, the founders of the GAP, Don and Doris Fisher, saw their work and created the KIPP, co-founded the KIPP Foundation so that we could replicate this model across the country. And as you alluded to earlier, there are now, this fall, 109 KIPP schools across the country.
And it's something that's currently expanding as we speak?
Yes, as we speak.
And there are plans to do the same here in St. Louis?
Yes, our plans are to eventually, over the next few years, have 2 middle schools, 2 elementary schools, and subsequently a high school.
What's been the biggest challenge since you've been involved in a couple now, here and in Kansas City? Especially when you're starting something new, I would think.
I think our biggest challenge, particularly here in St. Louis, has been that we've had to distinguish ourselves as a charter school. The charter school movement really kind of exploded, I think, in Missouri post-1999 on. And we've tried to distinguish ourselves as the exceptional charter public school. And so that's been the challenge, just kind of sort of branding ourselves and distinguishing ourselves as a public charter.
So how do you decide where to start a KIPP school? I guess it's where the needs are, and you mentioned urban areas. Is that primarily what we're talking about?
Yes, we've done extensive market analysis, and we look for actually the area, the zip codes that have the highest needs in the city of St. Louis, and try to identify those by households that have school-aged children, and that sort of drives our process for where we look for placing our next school.
So you've been here, I think you said 3 years, is that right?
This fall we'll be starting our 3rd year.
So tell me how you've grown in that 3-year period. You know, what were the numbers when you started, and what kind of growth have you seen?
Well, we started with 75 fifth graders almost 3 years ago. This past year we had 154 students, and currently we'll be going into this fall with hopefully 250 students across 3 grade levels.
Does that mean there's a waiting list?
Currently there's a waiting list in our 7th grade, but we are still accepting 6th and 5th graders at this time.
Well, how do families or how do parents find out that there is a charter school like the KIPP Institute?
Well, we've taken a variety of methods. We've done some of the more traditional routes of advertising on television and radio and newspaper, but we've also done a little on-the-ground campaign, walking from door to doors in neighborhoods and hanging informational doorknob hangers with information on them. So we've tried just about everything. I think the best marketing for us has been our parents who currently have kids in our school.
Well, speaking of parents and kids, we're going to meet a child and their parent who's currently involved in the KIPP School Institute here in St. Louis, and we'll explore this further. So more on the KIPP Institute right after this.
They make you feel like you're one of their own.
They give out their numbers in case you ever need help.
The teachers make me feel like I can do anything. They have those high expectations for us that if no one else has them for us, they do.
They work really hard at showing them that they care.
The teachers that come here are willing to give up 12, 14 hours of their day to stay on call till 9 o'clock at night. That's a tremendous buy-in to help your child. That's awesome in itself.
What do you demand of your students?
Excellence, constantly. I try to instill a sense of quality in our students, not just academic quality, but behavioral quality. They know that quality is a habit, something that you have to build and you constantly keep working at. And it's not just something that you do one day and turn off the next.
And how do you make sure that these kids learn?
Long hours and innovative ideas. Anytime something is going wrong, it's not something that we're going to fix next year or next semester or next month. It's something that keeps us up at night, that particular night, and we have an answer for it in the morning.
You find a way for each kid to learn.
Every child, no matter what.
I'm Steve Potter, and this is The Issues. Today we're talking about the KIPP Inspire Academy. We've been talking to Dr. Thomas Walker, who is KIPP's Executive Director in St. Louis, and now we're going to meet a student at KIPP in St. Louis, and that's Cameron Sullivan and her mom, Felicia Campbell-Miller. Hi, welcome to both of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Cameron, you had school today, did you?
Yes.
What'd you have for lunch today?
Toasted ravioli and salad.
Was that good?
Not really.
Typical student, I would say. Dr. Walker, one of the mottos for the KIPP is that every child can learn.
Right.
Would you say something about what you mean by that?
Well, I think it's pretty straightforward. We do believe that every child not only can learn, but will learn. And I think what we're missing oftentimes is that for our kids, and we do consider these our kids, our students, we have to set high expectations because they will rise to whatever expectations we set, not only just academically, but also behaviorally. And what we found is there's an intimate relationship between the culture that you set in a school and students' desire to learn. If you have a wonderful culture that is receptive to learning and making kids feel safe to learn, then every child will learn.
Okay, and what we're talking about is what we call middle school, right? 5th, 6th, and 7th graders?
Yes.
Right? And Cameron, where do you fall in that group? What grade are you in?
6th.
6th grade. And how long have you been going to KIPP?
2 years.
2 years, I see. Felicia, as a mom, what drew you to KIPP? How'd you even find out about it?
Surprisingly, a friend of mine is the school social worker, and she acquired that position after she was laid off from another school district that was shutting down. And she gave me a call and said, you know, the school that we'd always talk about, the ideal school we talked about for our children, I found it. And I said, where? And she said, it's here in St. Louis. It's called KIPP. And at the time, they didn't have their web page up to date. So the only KIPP I found was the one in Kansas City, and I kept saying, there's no KIPP here, there's no KIPP here. But she assured me there was. They were up and functioning. They were very new, but they were still enrolling children. And she said, please come down, see it, and you won't believe your eyes. And sure enough, I did, and I brought along several families with me.
Well, what were your feelings? Why did you feel that Cameron needed to go somewhere besides where she was going at the time?
From what I've experienced in the educational system, as with any parent, you want the best for your child. You're always looking for a better opportunity or the best possible opportunity for your child. In this particular case, when we found KIPP, KIPP was a school that not only could she feel safe, but she would spend a lot of quality time with instruction. In a lot of the regular public settings, and not all schools, but there are quite a bit of schools that you will find students are distracted by fights. They're distracted with teachers who aren't ready to deal with all the different dynamics that students are faced with, whether it's social, emotional, or behavioral challenges. And that always takes away from the dynamic of the classroom. Well, at KIPP, not only do they have extended day, which gives them more time on task, but they have other key staff in place to help deal with some of those other issues. And they pull those children aside, find out what the problems are that are keeping them from learning, and once they get to the root of the problem, the children go back and they can learn.
And did you find that Cameron was not performing as well as you wanted her to at her previous school?
Actually, she was an awesome student. Her teachers always remarked about how well she did. She complained that she never got a lot of time to study one specific subject. The teacher would have to keep moving, or they didn't get to a subject because someone broke out in a fight, or you know, they had to have a sub, or they had, you know, there were always some small issues. And with the day being the regular school day, she never really got the full lessons. And so by the time MAP testing came, there was a lot of information that just wasn't covered.
Dr. Walker, I'm wondering, evidently Cameron was a pretty good student to begin with, but that wouldn't be typical of KIPP students. Am I wrong? Isn't part of the reason they go is because they need to do better?
Yes, I would in no circumstance would I say all of our kids are behind. Many of them come in with deficits in reading, and reading is the one core content area that seems to drive success in all of the other core content areas.
Like you can't read.
But we have had students who are coming in ahead of the curve, such as Cameron. And one of the things that I really think makes KIPP unique is that we also continue to push those students as well, so that they don't drift back to the norm. And our afternoon academic settings are really designed to do that when we pull people out into smaller groups.
Cameron, from your perspective, can you sort of contrast your experience at KIPP to the school where you went to before? How is it different for you?
I've learned a lot more than I used to, since we have more time to like do homework and learn stuff that we haven't learned before. The schools I went to before, it's a lot of fighting. Everybody is dirtying up everything. You don't really get to learn anything because either a teacher isn't prepared to teach anything, or she's dealing with a fight, or she's just not there, so we don't get a chance to learn anything.
You know, I had to, did you hear what she just said? She was appreciating the time to do more work. You must be a better student than I was. Do you think, is it more fun to learn at KIPP, or what's that like? Are the teachers different, or?
It's more fun, and the teachers are actually prepared to teach you something. It doesn't matter what it is, you're just there to learn it, and if you having trouble with it, you can stay after school and get tutoring, and people will help you with it, so you just get to learn more.
Yeah, it seems, you know, a student's attitude, I think, is everything when it comes to learning, being open to learning and want to enjoy it. So How do you foster that?
Well, we recognize that for our kids, and I know this seems like a long time ago for both you and I, Steve, but it's difficult for our kids, as it was for us, to see that far down the road. So we look for small rewards along the way. So we have many field trips, which all eventually lead to what's called an end-of-the-year trip. But we have a paycheck that is based on, and not monetary, but it is based on behavior and academic results. You do positive things, that gets deposited into your paycheck account. Negative behaviors are deducted from your paycheck account. And there's a balance you have to have at the end of the year so that you're able to take our end of the year field trip. So for instance, this past year, our 5th graders for the 2nd consecutive year got to go to Washington, D.C. And our 6th graders got to go to Utah and did some really great things in the outdoors.
So did you go to D.C. then last year, Cameron?
Yes.
Was that you? What was that like?
It was fun.
I've been there. That's a pretty cool city, isn't it?
Yes, it's a lot of walking, a lot of learning, but it was still fun.
What was the most fun thing you did in D.C.?
Oh,
Can you pick one?
the Holocaust Museum.
Really? Why was that interesting to you?
Because there was a lot of stuff that they're supposed to teach you in school that I didn't know until I got to the museum. So we went to the part where it was Daniel's story, and they told us how they killed his mom and killed his sister, but he found his dad in the end, and he was one of the survivors from the concentration camp.
Great experience.
So,
well, we're going to take a little break, and we have a video we want to share with our viewers at home, and we'll pick up on this conversation when we come back. We're talking about the KIPP Inspire Academy.
I think I want to learn here because I have high goals for myself.
What do they demand of you here?
Behavior, academics, and commitment.
You're going to be pushed to go above and beyond, and that's incredible.
What's the best thing about this school?
Role models here.
I want people to know that KIPP is a very supportive school.
Like my son says, it's cool to learn at KIPP.
One of the slogans we have is we're a team and families.
The focal point is to get them to and through college, and the kids now believe that that's what they can do.
If you're looking for structure, you're looking for discipline, you're looking for your child to be pushed in a way that they've never been pushed before, and if you're looking for support not only for your students, but as a family, KIPP is the school for you.
We're talking about KIPP Inspire Academy. Dr. Thomas Walker is the Executive Director for KIPP St. Louis, and we're talking to a mom and a daughter. The daughter is a student at KIPP St. Louis, that's Cameron Sullivan, and Felicia Campbell-Miller is the mom. We know a lot about Cameron already. We know she's not crazy about toasted ravioli, but she loved Washington, D.C., right?
Yes.
What about the teachers? And Dr. Walker, I'll have you respond in a moment, too. It's really helpful to sort of admire and respect your teachers and have a good relationship with them. Tell me about your teachers.
All of my teachers are good. I think my favorite teacher is gone. She left and she
moved on to other things.
Yes, and
well, how many teachers do you have in a day?
4
or 5, something like that.
I think about 6 or 7.
Yeah. So, Dr. Walker, comment on that about who KIPP teachers are and what makes them special or unique.
Well, I think the attitude and their commitment, I think as you've heard alluded to in some of the clips and as well as some of our discussions, they are long work days. But I think when you put teachers in a position to do what it is they truly enjoy doing, which is teaching, they're that committed to it. We also have a strong relationship with Teach for America, an organization here that provides really high-achieving college graduates with opportunities to go in the classroom.
You have something you call what the KIPP Share, where I think KIPP teachers from different parts of the country can communicate.
Yes, that is one of the things driven by our KIPP Foundation nationally that we've started to use over the last year, where KIPP teachers from across the country post their lesson plans, quizzes, tests, learning programs, so that no one has to reinvent the wheel, that they can put that out there on a portal. That information is shared across the country throughout all the KIPP schools. And it makes our teachers even better, because one of the things we do adhere to and try to drive home is that not only will our kids learn, but we're constantly learning. We haven't perfected this, but we're always learning as teachers and educators.
Yeah. Felicia, as a mom, how involved are you in KIPP? I mean, are you involved in any activities at school yourself? It seems like you would be.
I think I'm probably one of the most involved parents at KIPP. Initially, I came in to volunteer on a daily basis, but I'm there even when I'm not volunteering, just to be a positive presence in there for parents who are new and have questions. One of the awesome things about KIPP staff is that they have the open door policy, and they have the classroom set up where parents can come in and observe the classroom setting. They can view the lessons. So if their child is struggling and they need some insight on what to do, they can come in and see the lessons and actually help their child at home, which is a critical part of their success at KIPP. The other thing is as far as involvement, I work really close with the school social worker to get the parents involved. We sponsor fundraisers and to help support the basketball, cheerleading, and step teams. We chaperone field trips. Some parents were even lucky enough to be allowed to go on the end of the year trips.
You're as busy as Cameron.
Yes.
Cameron, what's your favorite subject, Cameron?
Math.
Math? No kidding. You
Well,
could probably teach me a thing or two.
As it turned out, her favorite subject was one of the subjects she struggled in before she came to KIPP.
That's interesting.
And it was that math teacher who left to go pursue, to teach in another area, but she was the teacher that helped bring that back out of her and let her know that math was fun.
Cameron, I know you've got a long ways to go, and after all, the whole point of KIPP is getting young people ready for college. So have you thought about college yet, and do you have any idea what you'd maybe like to study when you get a little older?
Yes, and yes.
What?
Well, one of the places I want to go is Harvard. And one of the things I wanted to study there was scientific biology.
Scientific biology. Well, I wish we had a longer program. You could explain to me what that is. Well, good luck to you. I think you'll do very well in whatever you choose to do. It looks like a success story, Dr. Walker.
Well, it's kind of you to say that, but we're still early on. We've got a lot of work to do. We're very happy with what we've gotten done in our first 2 years going into our third, but we've got a long road to hoe, so to speak.
How important is community support and, like Felicia, parental support?
Oh, it's been incredible. Ms. Campbell was a little humble. She's been a driving force with our parents. We do have something called Parent University, but our sponsor, Washington University, has been incredibly important, supportive of us, and as well as the business community, Regional Business Council. It's just, there's been so much overwhelming support because people understand the need for positive public education options in St. Louis.
And Felicia, just in the few seconds we have remaining, how has your daughter attending KIPP affected your life?
It made me more involved. I was involved before, but never to the level I am now. Not only do I sit down and review homework, but I'm sitting there wanting to learn.
So you're getting smarter too?
I'm getting smarter too. But it's an awesome experience for any parent, and we encourage them to come in and observe and take a tour.
Right. Well, very good. Well, we thank you. Thanks so much for sharing. And Cameron, best of luck to you in the future. And Dr. Walker, thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much, Steve.
It's been a fascinating discussion. I've enjoyed meeting all of you. If you'd like to find out more about KIPP Inspire Academy, go to kippinspire.org or call 314-865-2624. Thanks to my guests again. I'm Steve Potter, and thank you for watching.
I'm young, and I'm positive, and I'm the future, and I'm gonna tell it like it is. I won't let anything stand in my way. I got my eyes on the prize, gonna stay that way. I'm young, and I'm positive, and I'm the future, and I'm gonna tell it like it is. I won't let anything